The question of how artificial intelligence will change what you do is not about machines replacing humans, but about the profound redesign of the very fabric of work itself. Often imagine AI as a tool and assistant or a competitor, but in truth, AI is becoming the architecture through which value is created, decisions are made, the future is shaped. What matters most is not whether AI will change what you do. It already is. But whether you will evolve fast enough to remain relevant in a world where intelligence is no longer a scarce human resource, but an abundant digital commodity. The first point is this: artificial intelligence is not simply about automating individual tasks or replacing human effort with machine efficiency. It is about reimagining the very structure of work itself. Too often when we think about AI, immediately default to the question of what jobs will be lost or what repetitive processes can be handed over to machines. But this is a limited, short-sighted way of understanding what is truly happening. When intelligence itself becomes an abundant resource, when prediction, analysis, optimization can be performed at scales and speeds no human can match, the entire purpose of human work begins to shift. The real change is not in what parts of your job will disappear, but in what new possibilities will open up once those basic tasks are no longer consuming your attention. Consider how the introduction of electricity once transformed industries. It wasn't just that factories could run longer hours or replace steam with motors. Electricity allowed entirely new business models to emerge, new cities to be built, and new ways of living to take root. In the same way, AI is not about making the old processes faster. It is about making entirely new processes possible. A lawyer will not just draft documents faster with the help of AI, but will move into roles where they design systems of digital trust and automated governance. A doctor will not simply use AI to analyze scans more quickly, but will become a steward of ethical frameworks, guiding how predictive medicine is applied to patients in ways that respect dignity and choice. Work, in this new paradigm, is about imagination, not just execution. This demands that we rethink our relationship with our professions. The value of human contribution is no longer measured by how efficiently we can perform a task, but by how well we can transcend it. The best use of AI is not substitution. It is elevation. When machines can handle what is routine, you are freed to ask the questions that are not yet in the data. You are freed to design futures rather than just respond to the present. But this requires courage, the courage to let go of old identities tied to narrow skill sets, to embrace new roles that may have no precedent. The most resilient workers of the future will not be those who cling to what they know, but those who are willing to reinvent themselves continuously in response to the possibilities AI reveals. Shift will also force organizations to reconsider how they define productivity. It will no longer be enough to measure outputs in terms of hours worked, units processed, transactions completed. Productivity will instead be about the quality of insights generated, the originality of ideas created, and the human ability to give meaning and direction to what machines surface. The question is not, what can I do faster with AI, but what new things can I do that were impossible before? That is the true measure of transformation. In the end, AI is not taking away work, it is liberating it. It is breaking open the narrow definitions of jobs that have kept people locked into roles designed for an industrial era. It is asking us to step into something far greater. The future of work will not be a continuation of the past with better tools. It will be a reinvention of what it means to be human in an age where intelligence is everywhere. And that reinvention begins with how you choose to reimagine the work you do today. The second point is this: artificial intelligence is redefining the nature of leadership by transforming the way decisions are made. In the past, authority and influence were often built on knowledge and experience. Leaders were the ones who had accumulated wisdom through years of practice, who carried more facts in their heads than anyone else, and who could make informed judgments when others were uncertain. But when algorithms can access more information than any human could possibly hold, and when predictive systems can see patterns across millions of variables in real time, the role of a leader begins to shift. Knowledge itself is no longer the rare commodity that sets leaders apart. Instead, leadership becomes about the ability to frame the right questions, interpret the outputs of intelligent systems, and translate them into meaningful strategies for people to follow. Think about the difference between having the right answer and asking the right question. Machines are increasingly better at delivering answers, but they only deliver answers to the questions we ask. If you fail to frame the problem correctly, even the most advanced AI system will generate insights that are irrelevant, misleading, or even dangerous. This is where leadership matters. The leader of the future is not the one who hoards the most data, but the one who can define the problems worth solving, can position an organization to see opportunities in ways others cannot. Leadership in the age of AI is an act of curation, not just command. Another critical element is interpretation. AI can generate predictions, probabilities, and recommendations, but it cannot tell you the human meaning behind those outputs. For example, an algorithm may predict that a certain market will collapse or that a customer is likely to leave. But what should be done about it? Should the company pivot its strategy, redesign its offerings, or double down on innovation? These decisions are not purely mathematical. They require human judgment, contextual understanding, and the ability to weigh values and long-term consequences. Leaders must bridge the gap between machine intelligence and human wisdom. This new kind of leadership also requires humility. In the past, many leaders felt pressure to project certainty and control. But in a world shaped by AI, certainty is an illusion. The best leaders will be those who are comfortable admitting what they do not know, who can openly collaborate with systems smarter than themselves, and who are willing to learn from patterns that challenge their instincts. Paradoxically, the more powerful the tools of prediction become, the more valuable it is for leaders to remain open, adaptable, and curious. Finally, leadership in the AI era is not only about making decisions, but about designing decision-making systems. It is about creating environments where humans and machines complement each other, where teams are empowered to use data effectively, and where ethical considerations guide the application of algorithms. Leaders must set the boundaries for how AI is used, ensuring it serves human goals rather than distorts them. They must design cultures where experimentation is encouraged, where data is democratized, and where people are taught how to work with algorithms responsibly. So the shift is clear. Leadership is no longer about knowing more than others, but about enabling others to do more with what machines reveal. It is about asking better questions, interpreting insights with wisdom, guiding organizations through uncertainty with vision and values. In this way, AI does not diminish leadership, it elevates it, forcing it to evolve into something deeper, more human, and ultimately more essential. The third point is this artificial intelligence is accelerating the shift from routine skills to uniquely human capabilities. Past success in most professions depended heavily on technical proficiency, memorization, or mastery of repetitive processes. Efficiency, speed, and accuracy were often the hallmarks of competence. But AI is changing the rules of the game. Machines are now capable of performing many of these routine tasks faster, more reliably, and at a scale that no human could match. They can analyze massive data sets in milliseconds, detect patterns invisible to the human eye, automate processes that once required entire teams of people. As these capabilities become ubiquitous, the value of doing what a machine can do diminishes, and the premium shifts to what only humans can do. This shift compels us to cultivate what is inherently human: creativity, imagination, empathy, moral judgment, and the ability to envision futures that do not yet exist in data. Where AI excels at prediction, optimization, and pattern recognition, humans excel at interpretation, nuance, and context. A marketing professional, for example, might once have focused on producing campaigns efficiently. In the AI era, the same professional now needs to craft narratives that resonate emotionally, create experiences that are unpredictable and memorable, understand cultural subtleties that a machine can mimic but never truly feel. Similarly, in medicine, AI can analyze scans and predict outcomes with incredible accuracy. The physician's role expands into understanding the psychological, ethical, and social dimensions of care, dimensions that machines cannot replicate. The emergence of AI also challenges educational systems and workplace training to evolve. Teaching narrow technical skills without fostering creativity, critical thinking, and ethical reasoning is increasingly insufficient. Schools and organizations that fail to emphasize these uniquely human competencies will produce workers who are outpaced by machines. The most valuable professionals of the future will be those who can combine technical literacy with imagination and empathy, can work alongside AI while amplifying what it cannot replicate. In short, human skills are no longer just about doing, they are about designing, interpreting, and meaning-making. Another implication is the need for lifelong learning and adaptability. In a world where technology changes exponentially, the skills that make you valuable today may be obsolete tomorrow. AI is not simply a tool you learn once. It is a moving horizon that demands continuous reinvention. Professionals must cultivate curiosity, resilience, and the capacity to integrate new capabilities quickly. Human first, in this context, means embracing the qualities that AI cannot replace: judgment, ethics, creativity, and the ability to imagine what does not yet exist. Finally, this shift transforms how we measure personal and organizational performance. Efficiency and output are no longer the only metrics that matter. Impact, originality, influence, and human connection gain prominence. Those who thrive will be the ones who can harness AI to perform routine tasks while devoting their energy to uniquely human contributions that create meaning, connection, value at scales machines cannot achieve alone. In the end, AI is not here to diminish human potential. It is here to amplify it. The work of the future is less about competing with machines and more about collaborating with them, using the time and insight they provide to expand what is uniquely human. Relevance, influence, and fulfillment will depend not on what a machine can do for you, but on what you do that a machine can never replicate. The fourth point is this: artificial intelligence is dissolving the traditional boundaries between industries and creating entirely new ecosystems where value is generated at the intersections. Past industries were often siloed. Finance stayed in finance, healthcare stayed in healthcare, retail stayed in retail. Each sector had its own logic, rules, competitive landscape, but AI does not recognize these boundaries. Algorithms, data streams, and digital platforms move seamlessly across sectors, connecting dots that were previously invisible. This means that your future competitors may not come from the companies you currently compete with, but from industries you have never even considered. Opportunities and threats will emerge at the intersections where disciplines, technologies, and ideas collide. Consider how AI is already reshaping markets. Healthcare is integrating with consumer technology to provide personalized wellness recommendations. Finance is merging with social media platforms to create new forms of digital engagement trust. Logistics is combining with real-time analytics and autonomous vehicles to redefine supply chains. In each case, the boundaries that once defined competition no longer exist. Companies that cling to traditional industry definitions risk being blindsided by innovators who see possibilities in places others ignore. For individuals, this means that career trajectories will also become less linear. Your next opportunity might come from a sector you have never worked in before, requiring agility, adaptability, and the courage to step into uncharted territory. This shift also demands a new kind of thinking, systems thinking. To thrive in a world shaped by AI, must understand the broader networks in which your organization operates. It is no longer sufficient to optimize within your silo, must anticipate how changes in one part of the system ripple across others. For example, product designer must consider not only how a device functions for the end, but also how its data interacts with cloud infrastructure, regulatory frameworks, and adjacent industries. Understanding the interconnections between technology, culture, and market dynamics becomes more critical than mastering any single process or tool. Another consequence is the rise of platform thinking. Many of the most transformative companies today, those creating exponential value, are not defined by the products they sell, but by the ecosystems they orchestrate. AI accelerates this trend by enabling seamless integration, predictive analytics, and real-time responsiveness. Individuals who can navigate these ecosystems, recognize patterns, and build bridges between domains will become indispensable. Success will depend not only on what you produce, but also on how effectively you engage with networks, leverage data flows, and contribute to complex, adaptive systems. Finally, the collapse of boundaries calls for curiosity and courage. You must be willing to explore unfamiliar fields, experiment with unconventional partnerships, and embrace uncertainty. The capacity to learn across disciplines, to synthesize diverse perspectives, to act on insights from unexpected sources will define who thrives in the AI-driven future. Those who cling rigidly to existing industry definitions risk obsolescence, while those who embrace the fluidity of the new landscape will create entirely new avenues for growth, innovation, and influence. In essence, AI is not just transforming tasks or roles, it is reshaping the very architecture of industries and careers. Your ability to see connections, adapt to converging domains, act boldly at the intersections will determine how relevant and successful you remain. The future belongs to those who recognize that the spaces between industries, not the silos within them, are where the greatest opportunities lie. The fifth point is this: artificial intelligence is not merely a set of tools to be used, it is a cultural force that will redefine how organizations think, operate, and evolve. Many companies make the mistake of treating AI as a technology problem, something to be implemented in a project or deployed in a workflow. But the real transformation comes when AI is embedded into the very DNA of an organization. Just as electricity didn't just make factories more efficient, but reshaped industries, AI is now capable of changing the way decisions are made, strategies are formed, and value is created. Organizations that fail to integrate AI into their culture risk being left behind, not because they lack technology, because they lack the mindset to harness it effectively. Culture in the AI era is defined by curiosity, experimentation, and adaptability. Traditional organizations often rely on rigid hierarchies, slow processes, and fixed roles. AI demands a different approach, one where individuals are encouraged to explore data, test hypotheses, and iterate rapidly. Decisions are no longer based solely on intuition or past experience, but on insights derived from complex, real-time information. To succeed, organizations must foster environments where employees feel empowered to question assumptions, experiment without fear of failure, and continuously learn from outcomes. This sense AI is as much a driver of human behavior as it is a technical tool. Embedding AI into organizational culture also requires transparency and collaboration. The insights generated by algorithms are only valuable if people can understand and act on them. Leaders must cultivate a mindset where data is shared, analyzed collectively, interpreted thoughtfully. Teams must learn to work alongside AI, recognizing its strengths while contributing the uniquely human judgment that machines cannot replicate. Organizations that silo data or restrict access to AI tools will miss the transformative potential of these systems. The future belongs to those who design cultures that leverage AI to enhance human intelligence, rather than attempting to constrain or control it. Another critical element is adaptability. The pace of AI development is relentless. Tools, models, and algorithms evolve continuously. What is state of the art today will be outdated tomorrow. Organizations that cling to static processes or rigid plans will quickly fall behind. A culture of adaptability, one that encourages learning, experimentation, and the rapid adoption of new capabilities, becomes a strategic advantage. This cultural shift is not incremental, it is fundamental. AI is forcing organizations to rethink not just what they do, but how they think, communicate, and make decisions at every level. Finally, bedding AI into culture is an ethical imperative. Algorithms shape decisions, influence behaviors, and allocate resources. Without intentional cultural guidance, AI can reinforce bias, create inequity, or undermine trust. Organizations must cultivate values alongside capabilities, ensuring that AI is used responsibly, transparently, and in alignment with human priorities. The most successful organizations will be those that integrate ethics into the culture of AI use, where every team member understands the responsibility of working with intelligent systems. In short, AI is not simply a tool to make work more efficient. It is a force that reshapes how people, processes, and organizations operate. Those who embrace it through culture, curiosity, collaboration, and ethical guidance will unlock its full potential, transforming their organizations into adaptive, innovative, and resilient ecosystems capable of thriving in an increasingly complex world. The sixth point is this: the greatest challenge and opportunity of artificial intelligence is not technical, but ethical. While much of the conversation around AI focuses on automation, efficiency, or innovation, the deeper question is how we choose to use these extraordinary capabilities. AI systems are not neutral. They reflect the values, assumptions, and decisions of the humans who design, train, and deploy them. The way AI shapes work, society, and daily life depends entirely on the intentions we embed within it. As these systems take on more responsibility, allocating resources, guiding decisions, influencing behavior, the ethical dimension of AI becomes inseparable from its practical application. In the workplace, this ethical imperative manifests in multiple ways. For instance, algorithms can enhance fairness, predict outcomes more accurately, and remove human bias from repetitive decisions. At the same time, they can also inadvertently reinforce existing inequities, perpetuate discrimination, or create opaque decision, making processes that leave people feeling powerless. The challenge for individuals and organizations alike is to recognize that AI does not merely perform tasks, it shapes human experiences. Leaders and workers must therefore take responsibility not only for what AI does, but for the broader consequences of its application. Decisions about AI are ultimately decisions about values, about what kind of future we want to create, and what principles will guide it. Ethical AI also requires vigilance and discernment. Machines can process vast amounts of data and identify patterns, but they cannot inherently understand context, culture, or morality. A predictive algorithm might identify trends in hiring or promotions, but it cannot judge whether those trends are just or equitable without human oversight. This places the onus on humans to interpret, validate, and guide AI outputs. Ethical responsibility becomes a continuous, active process monitoring, questioning, correcting systems that might drift from their intended purpose. This demands curiosity, critical thinking, and the courage to intervene when the outputs of an algorithm conflict with human values. Furthermore, the ethical dimension of AI extends to personal accountability. Choose to use AI in your work will define your professional integrity and influence the broader ecosystem in which you operate. Designing AI systems that empower people, amplify fairness, and expand opportunities? Or are you using them in ways that prioritize efficiency at the expense of humanity? The choices you make will have ripple effects, shaping how others interact with AI, the trust they place in technology, and the norms that emerge in industries and societies. Ethical responsibility, in this context, is inseparable from professional relevance. Finally, recognizing the ethical implications of AI is not just a defensive measure. It is a source of opportunity. Organizations and individuals who intentionally embed ethical values into AI systems create trust, strengthen relationships, and unlock potential at scale. AI becomes a force for good, amplifying human dignity, promoting inclusivity, and enabling decisions that align with shared values. By embracing this responsibility, are not merely responding to a technological trend, you are actively shaping the world that technology will create. In essence, the true measure of AI's impact on what you do will not be its speed, accuracy, or intelligence, but the integrity, empathy, and foresight with which you wield it. The future of work, and indeed the future of society, will be defined less by what machines can do and more by how humans choose to guide them. AI will change everything, but the ultimate outcome depends entirely on the ethical choices we make today.